Okay, good evening, Tuckahoe, and welcome to the public meeting of Wednesday, the zoning board's public meeting of Wednesday, May the 10th, 2017. Please join me with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nancy, please call the roll.
Member Lang,
Here.
Member Scalzo.
Present.
Member Palladino,
Present.
Member Jackman,
Present.
Chairman Ringwald.
Present. The first agenda item is we need to approve the minutes of the February the 8th meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, comments from the board? None? All right, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you. The one and only agenda item is 5 Circle Road. Seeking an area variance. Applicant is here. Please step up to the mic and tell us why you're seeking an extension to your variance.
My name is Dmitry Astashkin, and I'm applicant for 5 Circle Road, and I am seeking to extension of variances in order to complete the work and finish the house.
Any board members have any questions?
And what is the history of this? When was this application originally granted?
The application was granted on, I believe, September 11, 2013. The building permit was received in July 2014. So that's when we actually start the work.
And just to confirm, your permit, I'm not sure what the correct term is, expired or ran out 2 months ago. Was that correct, Bill?
It's expired a couple of times, but it's been renewed.
I'm sorry. So is it still current, or is he's had 2 months of essentially being able to do work on the property?
But I believe it's current.
Okay.
So when we originally approved this, Gary, do you remember if we approved it for 1 year, this area variance?
Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, it had to be completed within a year, not just started, because a lot of times you put a condition in there that work has to start, commence within the year. But on this resolution, on this area variance that he received, it had to be completed. That was not done, so that area variance expired. So it's not really an extension, it's a new area variance. It's what he's looking for, is really what it would be.
Can you assure us that you can finish at least the outside of 5 Circle within the next month?
Yes, yes, I will do everything, if I will be allowed by building department. Yes, in the next 30 days, the outside will be finished.
Garage doors, stucco, finishing trim?
Yes, trim and everything, but just the walkway, I cannot do the walkway in 30 days.
All right.
So if you want, I'll try to put something like a gate or something temporary, if you, it's like on the side of the garage.
Yes.
It's a walkway. I cannot
I think
pour it.
I think a gate would be, that's just my opinion. I think anything to cover what is going on there, so that, again, we want it to the point in 30 days where when your neighbors walk out of their house, they're looking at, as far as they're concerned, a completed property. Now, I just want you to realize that you are on record having agreed to complete this within 30 days, and we are going to hold you to this, and this is kind of, we're at the end of the track here. This is it.
I understand.
Okay.
Now, this area includes the garage doors, the underneath of the second and third floors, if I'm not mistaken, on the...
So just to clarify, this includes stuccoing the front, garage doors in.
Right.
We want the porches, the ceilings of the porches finished, so we're not looking up at cans. This is dependent on the inspection being completed for the exterior electrical, and some sort of gate or whatever you want to put up to cover the side of the house. We want it to the point where your neighbors are not looking at unfinished property. Thank you.
Yes.
You understand? I think you do. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to open the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak regarding 5 Circle Road? please step up.
Good evening, members of the board. My name's Anthony Laurie.
Evening.
I have a few complaints about this incident. And Monday, May 15th, I'll be living in my home 68 years, born in that home, okay? And for some of the insults that I've been from this construction job, I just want to let you know. I think it was 2 years ago on Father's Day, this man left a container on the street full of debris right on the street, and I informed them people are going to church on Sunday. The Assumption Church is right across the street. No barriers around it, no tape marks, no lighting around it. That was like 2 years ago. Then last year, someone rang my doorbell at 7:30 in the morning, and I asked the man what was his problem. He was delivering a container in that house on a Sunday morning, 7:30. And I says to him, do you realize it's 7:30, it's Sunday morning, you're delivering a container? He said to me, do you know, pal, I came all the way from Long Island? I says, from Long Island you came here on a Sunday morning. Now he had one on the truck, so he had to go to the corner of Circle, take that container off, climb on top of the sidewalk, back into this garage that it, so-called it is, pull that out, go back to the corner, remove that one from the truck, put the empty one back on that truck, back in that garage, jump the sidewalks, put it in there, then go back there, pick up the full container. Well, anyway, he asked me if I would call neighbors to move their cars. He finally did. There's about 4 or 5 people came out, were on fire. On Sunday morning, that's the consideration and good neighbor this man's going to be. I remember Mr. Gallo, when he was on the board, he says, we welcome everybody, let them be good neighbors. That's 2 Sundays. I thought that was a shame, really. Another time they blocked the roads, and I went up to him and told him, in the event emergency vehicle has to get through here, whether it be police, ambulance, fire truck, they can't get through. He told me distinctly he's not worried. He has to work on his home. And I told him, I said, I'm the fire commissioner. If my fire trucks can't get through, I'm going to hold you responsible. This is the consideration and good neighbor, as Mr. Gallo had said. We welcome people into this community. The shingles, I called the state. I told them all the dust was flying from the asbestos shingles. The state finally came, and I told him, there's all dust flying from these shingles. He finally told me, he said, that's asbestos shingles. And he thanked me, the state inspector thanked me for calling him. When he had all his scaffolds up, he left all ladders up against the scaffold. I thought that scaffolds, when scaffolds have ladders against, they're supposed to come down at night. God forbid if any children climb up there. Which many years ago, back in Eastchester High School, there was a scaffold up there. And I remember the young man, I went to school with him. He was home on leave from the Army. They climbed up there, swinging on the rope. The rope broke. He got killed. But the man left all the ladders around his scaffold when he was doing his house. I mean, the house don't even belong in that neighborhood. I remember Mr. Luisi says if that was in his neighborhood, he would have been on the phone every single day. It's so out of context, it's unbelievable. Dave, you remember when I came here telling you that that was going to be out of context? And a few neighbors came to my home tonight and told me, you know, to express their opinion. They don't like coming on TV. Some people don't, and I could understand that, you know. When he was pouring concrete, 2 times this happened. The Tuesday after Christmas, Christmas was on a Sunday, Tuesday morning, 7:30, I heard a lot of noise. There was concrete trucks. One was in the middle of Circle Road. One was parked right in front of my driveway with the drum spinning. 7:30 in the morning, 2 days after Christmas. And I asked the man, I said, what are you guys doing? He said, we're going to pour concrete. I thought work starts at 8 o'clock. He says, but we're not going to pour it till 8. But they were there 7:30, their drums are spinning. Then when they finished, they washed all their tools in the chutes, concrete chutes, right down Circle Road, down Wallace Street. You could go there still in front of Mr. Volpe's house. There's still some concrete stains on his sidewalk. Washed it all the way down the street, right into the storm drain on the corner of Circuit and Wallace. 2 years ago, I drive the trolley, so when I came home from work, I parked the trolley in the DPW yard, came home from work. There was a hose stretched across the street. His contractor, the good neighbor that we're going to have, was stealing water from the water hydrant. Had his coupling right on the hydrant, hose connected, and stealing water. He said he didn't do it, the contractor does it. But when a man works on your property, you're responsible for and liable for anybody working on your property. Lo and behold, all that water comes shooting up the sidewalk. Go look at my sidewalk. It's all cracked, all broken up. I try to repair it, but I think they came to court. And I think they were fined like $2,400. But my sidewalk is still broke. These are the good neighbors we're going to have. I personally don't even think the man's going to live there. I think he's just going to try to make a buck on it. When he was cutting concrete with the circular saw, you couldn't even see the front of the house. The dust that was going from that circular saw when you're cutting concrete. How the man gets away with things he does, I have no idea. And Mr. Gallo said that the man was going to comply with everything, and he told us here that he read all the rules and regulations. He knows what to do. And they were going to comply with everything. Mr. Gallo has said he's going to be a fine neighbor. As of right now, I don't think so. And I'm getting really disgusted. You know, we got to watch our storm drains get full of his concrete. Works when he wants to work. Has no consideration for us. Not one bit of consideration. And I don't know if you gentlemen all saw it, but just go take a look and see how out of context it was. I know even people that don't even live in that neighborhood have written letters to the mayor and told them how horrible that is, that home. I know the man's putting a lot of time in it and effort in it, but it does not belong there the way it is.
Could I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
So, you're probably aware, I'm sure, a lot of this board was not on the board.
Yes, I know
when
that.
this item was approved. And my first comment would be to your reference of it being out of context. Some of us may or may not agree with you. However,
Absolutely.
the problem is this has already been approved, and it's almost water under the bridge at this
Yes,
point.
yeah, I know you can't take the house down
you know,
now. I understand that.
So we need to figure out going from there, what is the best way for the village to deal with this? And I can assure you that our empathy for what the neighbors are going through here is currently the primary and pretty much only driving force regarding what happens with this property. And that's been reflected in our work sessions and our discussions with this gentleman, is that we agree that this, at this point, I can't imagine having gone through this for 3 or 4 years. It's, at this point, ridiculous. And
Absolutely.
and this is my personal opinion. This is not the opinion of the board, but at this
Yes,
point,
I
I
hear
find
you.
it I may not agree with all of these incidents being out of bounds, but enough of them are pretty horrific. However, in trying to, again, if our primary focus is improving the quality of life for his neighbors and getting this to the point where it is not bothering you on a daily basis and it is not interfering with your life, my concern is that let's say we crack down on him and say, you know, that's it, we're done, move on. We're stuck with that. You're staring at that now for God knows how long. We're talking about court, I assume, Gary. We're talking about, you know, let's say he sells it, a new owner would have to come in, get approval. You know, we're looking at another 6 months, another year. And so at this point, and I know it seems to you probably like we keep kicking the can down the road at this point. However, and I think we were just clear with this gentleman, this is it. We're at the end of the track. We gave him, you know, he's essentially had 2 months from our last meeting. He just, I'm sure you've seen, he just put stucco up today, essentially. We are aware that this is enough time. And this 30 days that we've talked about is, I believe, a clear line. That will be the end. So
Okay.
30 days, and I hope that, and I know it's not perfect, it's not a utopia world, you know, we're not gonna be able.
No,
I'd love to wave a magic wand and fix everything for him, fix everything for you. However, we're hoping this is the best solution in that our primary focus, again, is to have the outside of this completed to the point where it is no longer, you don't have to, you know, to you, it's done. I don't care what he's doing on the inside of that house, but I want for his neighbors, I don't want this to even be a thought anymore. As far as whether or not the house fits in, I'm afraid that's.
That's, I understand, but why did it take so long before everyone had to come here to this? Like you said, you give them final 30 days. Why did it take this long?
Well, essentially, he got, again, I wasn't here when he got his last extension, I'm not sure what the correct term is, the extension, but I mean, while that extension's going on, there's not much, you know, the board itself can do, from what I understand. However, that's up now, and this
Right.
is done, and he's got to get this finished, or, you know, I'm not going to approve this, to be,
Okay,
at least myself, just speaking for myself. We get to that 30 days from now, and the outside of that house is not done, you're looking at an eyesore, it's a no.
Okay, thank you.
You know, Mr. Laurie, I agree with Member Jackman, and as you know, I live up the block, and everything you cited, I witnessed.
Thank you.
So, he's back because his area variance expired.
Okay.
If it didn't expire, you wouldn't be in front of us tonight. And we have been very firm with him, as you just heard us, that you need to finish this outside. Again, back to Member Jackman's points, we deny him now, it sits looking like that
Yeah.
for an extended period of time.
I hear you.
What's done, unfortunately, is done, and this needs to be finished or else. But he understands. No more extensions.
Okay,
But
that sounds good.
I did want to add that if we get to this 30 days, I hope we might have that situation. I just want you to be prepared for that as a neighbor, that if we get to 30 days and he hasn't done this, we're going to kind of be stuck with this situation.
And then what?
If we're going to kind of hold the line. I mean,
What happens then?
That I don't know.
His area variance it's done, and that means he'd have to take basically down the structure. He doesn't do, that's where we'll be going. It would probably end up in litigation, I'm sure, though. But just,
But I'm just trying to share with you the struggle
Yeah,
here, and
okay, I
that
hear
we're
you.
trying to balance that. We want this done for you.
Okay.
For you, we want this done.
For the neighborhood, not for me.
Excuse me. By you, I'm speaking plural, the neighbors. We want this done for the neighborhood. If it's not done, we're trying to avoid the
Yeah.
situation where it's sitting. But if we're going to hold this line and draw this line, that it's
Yeah.
got to be done, there's a consequence.
I understand.
I just want you to
guess-
be prepared that
Yeah,
may be the
I
situation.
guess you could say I'm the spokesman, because I know a lot of people came to me asking me that what's going on. I only could tell them what I know.
No, and we
I'm hoping that everyone that what you're saying that they're watching on TV tonight.
And we appreciate that. And I think, again, I can't kind of say enough that at this point, and you know, in our discussions in the work session, which people are welcome to come to, your neighborhood is the primary focus, and your concerns are the primary focus. At this point, that's the driving force.
Don't forget that maybe this man doesn't understand, but that's an area, because believe it or not, when that man was delivering those containers on a Sunday morning, you should have seen the traffic mess when people were trying to go to church, and then when church was coming out, he was pulling out another container to put in there. You could not believe people were going down one-way street, people holding children. God forbid if anybody was hit by a car from, people were getting aggravated because who couldn't go up the street, who couldn't go down the street, who couldn't go through Circle Road because a truck was delivering a container on a Sunday morning.
I would.
Very, very pitiful. And I hope this man understands that there's a church there, and every Sunday morning between the hours of 9 and 1 o'clock, there's church services going on there.
I mean, we appreciate all that. I've written down your list of items here. We appreciate all of that, and I just hope that you are reassured that
Okay.
we are looking out for your interests.
Thank you so much.
This 30 days, at least for myself, speaking privately, is a real 30 days. That's it. We're
Okay.
at the end
Thank
of
you,
30
gentlemen.
days.
Agreed. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair, if I could just add one thing. Mr. Laurie was correct. The sidewalk was damaged by the applicant's contractor.
Right.
We brought that contractor into court, and he actually paid restitution. Frank DeMarco, our superintendent of DPW, still has that money. He's waiting for this outside to be complete before he works on the sidewalk.
Good.
He didn't want further, but the money's there. He's ready to do it.
No, this is the sidewalk surrounding the property, not his actual sidewalk.
No,
That's correct.
in front of my home.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
From where he stole the water.
That's correct. And with regard to the water, too, we did report that to United Water at the time.
I personally did
You
too.
did, too. We
Yes.
did also. The village also did.
Well, the man told me they do that in Queens. They have no problem
That's what we were
stealing
told.
water.
That's what we were told.
And
That's exactly what he told me. He said, we do this in Queens every day.
And the enforcement of these other items, I mean, how was this handled? This is a side note, excuse me, from this.
No
but
problem.
What is the enforcement process within the village? How does it work
Well,
when,
it-
you know, he's got a list of 9 things here. Did he call on each item and then the police come, or how
The
does
only
it?
thing that came by my desk or that came through court was the sidewalk and the water issue. The other issues
I mean,
just have not been, haven't come before me.
does
so I
that go
don't
to,
know.
did you call the
If-
police or?
Yes,
how
the
did-
police came and the fire department came. The police came, issued them the summonses, and the fire department shut the hydrant off and capped it.
Okay, I was
But
just
that's-
wondering
that's
the
one
process. That's a,
incident with the sidewalk and the water, but the other incidents, I'm not sure. I don't think they're a violation,
No.
as Mr. Loriano.
okay, thank you. I was just wondering
Okay.
for my own education.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else from the public?
Coming up as fast as I can, Mr. Ringwald. Anyway, my name is Joe Marinello. I live at 4 Coolidge Street. I came for 2 reasons. One, I'll be 86 years old soon. I lived the block before that block, Circle Road. I lived on Circuit. That's where I was born. I was born on Circuit Avenue. Anthony Laurie and his whole family, including his older brother, who was in my wedding party, and I was in his. I knew them all when they grew up, when they were born. Came from a great family. That whole neighborhood was great. That particular house was owned by a black family. They were a black family on Circle Road, the nicest black family you would ever want to meet. Community lived in harmony. Everything was fine. But Tom, I'm going to be honest with you. You have 2 gentlemen that are sitting on your board right now. When this project came in front of them, one voted no, and the other voted yes. This is the gentleman who voted no, because he thought that garage was adjacent, too close to that sidewalk, and you were right. But you were ignored. You were ignored by your chairman. And I'm relieved, Tom. I'm relieved when I was just told that Mr. Gallo is no longer going to be a member of this very crucial board. Let me tell you something. I was a police commissioner in this village for 23 years. I took that job very seriously. Very seriously. But the zoning board and the planning board in the village of Tuckahoe are the future of what this village is going to look like 100 years down the road. As far as I'm concerned, there were 3 things that were done in this village that were catastrophes. The first catastrophe in this village was a former police officer who became mayor. Okayed the filling of that gorgeous quarry on Oberlin Road. And it was because of the money. Then the next mayor, and the next mayor, and the next mayor all closed their eyes because of the money. The next catastrophe was your board passing that horrible, horrendous monster on Circle Road. What I'd like you to do is go down. You don't have to be a member of the Assumption, but go up the driveway and walk down and see what you see. It's horrendous. It's horrible. Shouldn't be there. There's nothing you could do about this today. We know that. In the meantime, you got to live with it. For when? We don't know how long. Maybe 100 years. So take your job, and I'm sure you all will. And I'm sure my neighbor Tom, who's the new chairman of this board, is going to do that. Consider all your applications with seriousness and make sure you come up with the right answer, because it's forever. I'm glad I see the changes on this planning, on the zoning board. I'm so happy I see the changes. I only wish you guys were here. I only wish you guys were here when that other catastrophe that's going to harm the children of this village years to come, and for a long, long time, is the proposed hotel on Marveldale Road that shouldn't be on that toxic dump. The worst thing that was ever done. And I blame the zoning board for not taking serious interest in the 5 prongs. That applicant never met those 5 prongs. That project should have never been passed by you guys and forwarded to the planning board. We wouldn't be here today. And the poor people in this village wouldn't be crying like they are. So many are so sad and so worried about what's going to happen in the future. Now, I'm glad to see a tremendous change with the zoning board, and I wish you all well. I really do. And the gentleman I know all the way down in that seat has done wonders for this village. He doesn't know it, but I know it, and I know what he's done. And he's recognized as a man with integrity. Integrity is what we need. Now, as far as the planning board is concerned, flip a coin. That's all I can tell you. Flip a coin. But what I'm asking you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is don't move these projects ahead and don't forward them to the planning board if you don't think it's the right project for this village. You have that right. You have that power. As a police commissioner of my board, we ran it like the rules and regulations of the Supreme Court. No one could buy me, no one tried to buy me, and no one would ever buy me. So, that catastrophe that I come down from the Assumption Church and I make my 4 o'clock mass, I walk down that driveway to my car, I cry looking at that catastrophe. To my right, your left, is a gorgeous home. The people who live there have a garden there, they keep it updated, and everything is so gorgeous. It doesn't belong in that area. But as I told Anthony, what can we do? There's nothing you can really do right now. But anyway, for the future you can. There's a lot of things you could do for the future. For my grandchildren, and maybe yours, you can have this village on the right track and put it back on the right track. So I'm very delighted that you have a new board, Tom. And it sounds like you guys take things seriously. I know that gentleman to the left likes to be a guy who takes all kinds of notes. He wants to be the mediator. I've watched him for a couple of years. But in any event, I want to thank you all. I hope you hear what I say is from my heart. I don't know how many more years I have left here on earth, but my wife is only buried right here in the town of Eastchester, so I don't have too far to go and talk to her every other day if need be. And that's where I'm going to be. So I'm not leaving the town. Physically, I might be leaving the town, but mentally I'll never leave this town. And so I just wanted to come to support my good friend Anthony, who's a Vietnam veteran. I happen to be a Korean veteran. And I just felt that it was time for me to come down, but when he picked me up, I found out that most of this has been resolved. Sounds like it is, but the looks of that building are never going to change. And you were right. If you had a little backing when you made your suggestions, and when you objected to this project, it would have been the best thing to do. In my case, didn't turn out that way. But we filed a lawsuit in November. We haven't been in front of a judge yet. We filed a stay to stop the construction on Marbledale Road. We haven't been in front of a judge yet. So who knows where that catastrophe on Marbledale Road is going to be, and whatever happens, I don't know. But obviously you all know, especially Tom, how much I'm against it. And I was against it from day one when I came home from the Korean War in '53, when my father and 20 of his neighbors went in front of the mayor and the trustees to get some relief, and they were told to shut up. Can you imagine I just came home from the Korean War and they told my father to shut up? They didn't know what they did. They ignited a time bomb with me because I never, ever, ever let it sit and die. I kept bringing it up for years and years and years. People got tired of hearing Joe Marinello with the quarry, etc. But isn't it amazing? Everything I put in an affidavit that I witnessed with my eyes, finally coming up to the surface. Revlon, coming up to the surface. Borough's Welcome, coming up to the surface. So all those things I witnessed are true. So again, I don't want to be too long, but my first opportunity to talk in front of the zoning board, and I feel very honored, and I want you all to know you have going to be in my thoughts and prayers that you consider your first priority is the village, the welfare and the safety of the village, and the aesthetics. I don't want to be another Bronx. The buildings in this village are horrendous. We don't need any more. Give our kids a chance to breathe the good air that I breathed when I was a kid in this village. But anyway, thank you for your time, and lots of luck to all of you. And Chairman, if I have a problem, I know where you live. He walks his dog by my house every day, you know. And so, but in any event, thank you so much for listening.
Joe, thanks for your input, and please
Thank you, sir.
be assured that this board will take every applicant seriously, and we will look to protect the village and the integrity of the village and the aesthetics as we go forward. As you know, as we just discussed, what's done is done. We're going to try to do the absolute best we can with 5 Circle. All right?
I hear you, Tom, loud and clear.
And I hear you.
Unfortunately, too bad you weren't here 3 years ago.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak regarding 5 Circle Road? Seeing none, I would like to remind everyone that we are going to leave the public hearing open until next month. So, Mr. Applicant, you understand, right? You'll be back next month, as we discussed, not to belabor this, but you need to get the outside done. Next meeting, we will be voting yes or no. The outside's not done. All right. Is there any further business?
No.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to welcome and congratulate our newest member, Danny Lang, who was approved at the village board meeting on Monday night for a permanent term. He sat as an ad hoc for a period of time, but now he's a permanent member. And I've known Danny for several years. I've known to the point that was already made. He's done a lot of work for this village. I worked with him on the Tax Assessment Review Board, and his heart is in the right place, and he has a great head on his shoulders. And this, to me, is a very welcome addition to this board. So, welcome, Danny.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Well appreciated. Thank you, folks.
Any other business?
Tom, I think you need to make a motion to just keep the public hearing open.
Oh, I apologize. I'd like to make a motion to keep the public hearing open for the next month. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Now I'm going to make a motion to close the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. Good night, Tuckahoe.
When's our next meeting? Is our next meeting